Hello, beautiful souls. Tune in for a heart-centered, juicy convo between Courtney from Jam Hot and Reiki by Victoria.
All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to Jam Hot Radio. I have the pleasure of being here today with Victoria, Reiki by Victoria. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good. It's so great to see you virtually again. Before we really dive in, I would love for you to set the intentions of our interview and of our day, kind of similar to what you do in some of your sessions. If you don't mind, I'll kind of let you take the floor there.
Okay. So I'll invite you, Courtney, and also Jen, and anybody else who's watching on Jam Hot Station. If you'd like, you can bring your hands up into prayer at the heart center. Taking a few deep breaths here. Feeling the weight of your seat. Knowing that you have nowhere else to be, nothing else to do other than to be fully present here in this conversation, in this exchange. Asking that our egos step aside. Calling upon our higher selves, our inner child, our spirit guides, ancestors who love us unconditionally, friends and fairies, spirit animals, archangels, goddesses, all light beings of light families and cosmic families and star families who are meant to be with us in this conversation today. We ask that you surround us in a bubble of protection so that only love and light may exist within this field. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you, we love you, we love you. We see you, we see you, we see you. This interview is now open.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to start with the question I start with everyone. What is an album that everyone should have in their collection? Please.
James Taylor.
And I love that you have the record, Sweet Baby James. And you mentioned, who did that belong to?
This was my grandmother, Mimi. She was my bestest friend in the whole wide world. And she's also, when she passed, that was actually when my kind of like major spiritual awakenings began happening. I feel like because I had that like direct connection to the stars now. So
yeah. And how long ago was that?
That was in 2016. So for almost 5 years ago now.
Yeah. Oh, well, Mimi's here with us today. Thank you, James Taylor. Yeah, he's definitely a classic in my book as well. I feel like so often people go through so many adversities in life, and you turn to all different methods of healing and ways of being, and your healing methods have helped me a lot. So I want, for viewers who may not know where to start, can you explain what you do through your work with Reiki by Victoria, and also what does it mean being attuned? What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, sure. So I agree with you. First of all, I just want to preface the whole thing with, I really do feel like I didn't choose this work, that it chose me and then I chose it back. But that there was like there was just a calling that one day, like my perspective, like you, shifted, because I feel like once you feel it, then you can't unfeel it.
Yeah.
I just want to preface it with that. And then, so being attuned, basically what Reiki is it's the channeling of life force energy, and through symbols and through different hand postures. And it is a Japanese technique. However, it aligns the chakras, which it's a Sanskrit word for spinning wheel. Or mystical wheel. So it's basically the notion that was originated in India, that we have 7 or more, but 7 main chakra centers. So these spinning wheels that align up our spine. Each one is assigned a different color and a different symbol. And basically the idea is that when these wheels are all spinning, like if you picture them as gears, if they're all spinning and clear and clean and like under control,
yeah.
then you are like living each facet of your life like clearly, and to the greatest of your capacity,
right?
Because chakra relates to different facets of your life. So when every chakra is aligned, then they can all work as a system up and down,
right?
And every facet of your life can kind of have that same clarity, that joy, that love. And then Reiki is the channeling of the life force energy to assist myself and others in aligning that chakra system. So that's like the very kind of like technical, application.
Right.
Being attuned is when I've gone to 2 Reiki masters who attuned me, which means they're attuning my energy and my frequency and basically placing the, I want to call it a gift, but like placing the energy, because really that's what it is. So they're channeling the Reiki life force energy into my body. Almost if you picture like a magenta, like electric charge coming into my body, and then I'm able to then be the channel and transfer that energy into the people that I work on. And then also my practice has evolved as my spirituality and as I have evolved. So I don't necessarily only do Reiki where I'm, just doing the hand movements and that's it.
Right.
I'm also clairvoyant and clairsentient and clairaudient. So during my sessions,
what does that mean? What do all of those mean, please? Because I've been told in some of my sessions that I am clairvoyant. And what was so interesting to me in our session is that you shared that I have wings, and like there's just so many. And yeah, go ahead. Tell me.
Clairvoyant means that you can see things that are not of this realm. So like some people might say the word psychic. I don't resonate with the word psychic. Because I don't seek things that don't belong to me, or that like information that's outside of what's presenting itself to me.
Right.
Always like working in the greatest and highest good of all involved, and never digging for anything that doesn't belong. So, so clairvoyant means that I can see. So when I'm in a session, I might see a symbol or a person or an ancestor or a guide or an animal, or, the person's soul might be showing me something, that they experienced in a past life or in this life, etc. Clairaudient means that I can hear, that I'm hearing what they're telling me.
Oh, your spirit guides.
Yeah. And clairsentient means that I can feel it. It's like a feeling that you get.
Okay. As you said, you have continued to tap into your own healing practices and evolve in your craft and what calls to you. I got really excited when you shared with me that you're starting the Little Lights curriculum, because I have a little one, and I know so many parents and children that would benefit from what you do and mindfulness in general. So can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So the curriculum is something that came to me in idea form about 8 years ago. When I was living in Brooklyn, and when I was kind of having a powwow with my best friend Tia, and it's just evolved from there. Like I've gone into all different jobs, but I've always had this this anchoring and like this knowledge that someday my writing and my teaching will come back around children. So. Fast forward to now, the curriculum is based in 4 pillars. So it's based in the chakras, love, so unconditional love, of all and for all, and then light. So this is like probably the main lesson that I've been working with. But it's that we all have a light inside of us, and that nobody can take it away ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fourth is gratitude. So it's based on the notion that children are inherently born with this knowledge and all of this information, and we unlearn it because of
we do unlearn it. It's so sad. I can't, I mean, I've always been silly and, whatever, but I don't think my inner child would come out if I didn't have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So
I feel like because it's not really safe, like in a lot of situations for them to come out, and that's also a major thing a major principle of what I do in my work. I call it plurk because it's play plus work.
Yes, I love that.
So what I did is I started working at a preschool last year just to start to test out these pillars, and it worked. So it was just really beautiful and wonderful to see how easily and how organically the children take to this curriculum and this information, and also how it led them to be more compassionate, more empathetic with one another, more confident, more like self-aware and understanding of themselves.
Right.
So that's kind of like the basis of what I'm working with. And then the elevator pitch that I came up with like probably a year ago, or before I'm like now in this new sovereign state of like, I'm just going to say things how I'm going to say them. So I haven't reworked that. But the old way of saying it was that I cultivate resilience and grounding within young children ages 0 to 7, because that's when our subconscious programming is programmed, using tools of mindfulness. So they are tools of mindfulness, but I'm more into like the spiritual realm, like one step further from just mindfulness, where it's very kind of like clinical sometimes, which it works and it's fantastic. And they are the same core principles, but I do have a love of like the magic of everything.
Yeah. And so do children. So for such an important lesson that you're teaching and sharing with them, you have to have the fun spark of magic in there, because also as a light worker and a teacher guiding younger communities and children and our future, I mean, you also will be teaching their parents too.
Yes.
And that's a whole different level too. So I'm excited to see how that continues to flourish for you.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be really fun, because it's not only the the in-person, like one-on-one lessons or one-on-group lessons, but it's also, there are different, facets under the umbrella. So right now I'm working on children's books, teaching about the chakras and the inner light. And these are all like spiritually channeled books where I'm just kind of like surrendering to the flow and allowing these characters and these lessons and stories to channel from the etheric plane.
So you're taking your time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Good. I see people talking about cacao. That's how you say it, right? Okay. So we don't have to dive too far into it, because the more that you have shared with me and educated me, I know we're going to do a part 2 in the summer when I can get outside and we'll actually have a cacao ceremony. But until then, can you kind of give us like what it is for dummies in the sense, so I know what I'm going to get myself into and how much it's helped your practice and your work?
Yeah, for sure. So cacao is the base ingredient of chocolate, first of all, so that because everybody can relate to chocolate,
right?
And so, but what ceremonial grade cacao is so chocolate. The cacao is an actual bean. It's like a pod that grows from a tree in jungle type climates. So in South America, and so ceremonial grade cacao comes from these sacred native strains of the cacao tree and of the cacao bean. Whereas like the chocolate as we know it is, genetically modified and just like pulverized, and it's not sacred at all.
Right.
So I drink cacao with a K, K-A-K-A-O, ceremonial grade drinking chocolate, but there's other ones as well out there now. And basically when you drink it, you prepare it with like a few spices, some coconut oil, some honey sometimes, kind of however you want to prepare it, with water on the stove. Of course, when they're doing these ceremonies, which by the way, date back to Mayan times, in the middle of the day, doing it on their stove, they're doing it over a beautiful fire. So cacao, when you drink it, it's a beautiful heart-opening medicine where, because we're always living in our minds, so it drops us into our heart space and allows us to connect on that heart level. So when you're in a ceremony with yourself, you can connect so deeply with just yourself, like your spirit, your soul.
I'm going to cry so much, aren't I, when I do it?
Oh, yes.
Do you cry in those ceremonies with people?
Yeah, I mean, not everyone, but yeah, I mean, it's just amazing how you don't even know what's under the surface, and this plant medicine comes into your heart, because that's what it is. It's a plant medicine, but it's a very gentle plant medicine. And so it facilitates connection in a group of people or with the self. And then it also is it's just like such a fun entity to work with. I call it entity because when you're working with cacao, you're really working with the spirit of cacao. And so I use cacao and sit with cacao when I'm creating, when I'm, painting or writing or channeling, or even like before a Reiki session, or just, really when I'm going out into nature. It's just a beautiful way, rather than the coffee that has us go, 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 and like closes our eye.
Yeah.
The cacao like opens us, just like bursts us wide open. And I've just had really beautiful experiences. So then this year, my sister and I both became facilitators of ceremony of cacao. So
you had, like, you mentioned a program of sorts you guys did together.
Yeah, so we did the program through KAKAO, which they just released in May for the first time. And basically that required and consisted of sitting with cacao for 90 hours plus this summer and hosting several group ceremonies.
They look beautiful, by the way. I will certainly be sharing some of those tidbits in here for our viewers.
And so I'm doing a joint venture with my sister. We hope someday to do like retreats and, just like along the lines of just a bunch of women or men, like just, if you just picture dancing around the fire and howling at the moon and just connecting and just
opening your heart to your higher self. Really. I know that was a big thing in our session personally, was tapping back into mine. So you certainly have helped me do that. So I cannot wait to frolic when it's nice out, to be able to experience that with you. We would love to start the year off right. And I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to kind of get with you and see how you can help us do that. So what would you recommend in terms of just small things for like like you said, we're always go, go, go. So like for me, I've tried to meditate more in the morning because I don't have time, but when I make that 10 minutes, my day is beautiful. So
yeah, I mean, and that's really like such a good point. It doesn't have to be like the full 20 minutes twice a day, like it can literally be 1 minute that you sit down with intention, breathe, and drop into yourself. And like, you'll have a completely different day.
Right.
So, so just in terms of, I just want to preface this with like, it's different for everyone. And I think there's a lot of shame around, I can't meditate, or I don't know how, or my brain doesn't quiet down. I mean, there are so many times when I sit down to meditate and my brain is like, about the show I watched last night or what I'm going to make for dinner.
How do you turn that off? It's tough sometimes, I feel like.
Yeah. And that's like the beauty of like a true practice. It's a practice. So, sometimes you don't turn it off and you come back to the awareness of like, whoops, where did I go?
Yeah.
And awareness of the breath or of just being. And even if that happens a bunch of times during one meditation sit, you've still done the work, and you're still going to reap the benefits of trying and of showing up. So a lot of people get, what I've heard anyway from clients, and I think it's just this like, I don't know. And so meditation is huge, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be good at it. Like there's no such good at meditation.
Yeah.
There's just a practice.
Yeah.
So but in terms of how I recommend grounding yourself every single morning. So like that means of course, if you can go outside into like a beautiful lush field, or like just outside, on your lawn or whatever, and put your feet on the ground. But if you can't, you can even do it when you're in the shower, or when you're brushing your teeth, or right when you wake up, and you can just like take your feet, plant them there, and just imagine like growing out of your root chakra, these beautiful roots.
Yeah.
And imagine them like wrapping around, like I used to say the core of the earth, but now that things have shifted, a crystal in the center of the earth. And then like harnessing that energy up into the root, and like just kind of having that exchange with Mother Earth where you're grounding yourself.
Yeah.
So grounding yourself, and then opening your heart and opening your mind. So, and that only takes intention. That's literally being here, pretending, like using my imagination to grow my roots into the ground, into the earth, and then imagining my heart opening a little wider, and imagining my mind opening a little wider and connecting to the divine.
Yeah.
And there are so many, obviously, like technical tools and ways that we can stay connected and grounded and clear. But that's what we would just live in a totally different world if
everybody just took that time. I only did a 10-minute one today, but sometimes Willow will do them with me. It depends on her mood, which is why I love what you're about to do with Little Lights. Because if we can teach everyone just to slow down a little bit and live with intention, I feel like when I meditate, I'm starting my day with intention, and it sets the tone.
Yeah, totally. As opposed to rolling over, checking your phone, and like already inviting the world into your auric bubble, especially if you're an empathetic person who can absorb people's energies easily. It's so important to ground yourself first and like check in with yourself. And then also I love baths in terms of like cleansing. Baths are like, and you don't have to have a full bathtub. You could just have a bowl and use it for your feet.
Yeah.
And journaling has been really transformative and big for me over the years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love that. So you plan to, can you tell me about the meditation mix you're going to be making for us?
Yes. So basically when I'm dropping in to do any kind of healing, any kind of guided meditation, any kind of cacao ceremony, Reiki, whatever it is. And just like I did when we opened this, I ask my ego to step aside, and I ask whoever and whatever to come through me, as so long as it is in the greatest and highest good of all who will be receiving it. So when I record that meditation, that's kind of like the mindset that I'm going to go into it with.
Great.
But I will tell you that the earth has shifted so much, like you said, like if you are in tune, like you can feel the shifts. And I think even those who are not necessarily don't consider themselves to be in tune so much, they're also, I think, feeling certain shifts. Now I think it's reverberating out enough that everyone's feeling a little bit different.
Feel it all. Yeah.
That's okay too. But, so I think that what has been coming through me are like transmissions in grounding. So I guess off the top of my head, what would be really great is to do a little guided meditation or a visualization to help your viewers learn maybe just how to ground themselves, open their hearts.
Yeah. I love that. Well, like you said, whatever you're called to in that moment, on that day, we'll see what we come up with, or what you come up with in your spirit guides. That is what you call them, right? There's
spirit guides, and then I love the angels so much, and then there are like fairies and animal.
Yeah, a lot of the animals really threw me off in my session. The shark, that was wild to me. That was wild. But yeah, I love that.
It's always like, you can ask yourself every day, like, how much fun can I have? Like, how much fun can this be? And then you look around and you're like, my life is so fun. Like, it's just, and not every day, you know?
Every day, yeah. But when you have those moments, as I was sharing with Jen, you know, those happy tear moments where you're like, whoo, okay, I see you, world. Like, we're okay. We're going to be all right.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with me. I can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Me too. Thank you. Thank you. You rock.
You rock, girl. Happy New Year.
You too. Happy New Year.